signs are up and the change is on its way. The rollout of wine in grocery stores is just around the corner. We have a preview. The pandemic cut one ski season short, and now it's payback time to pass holders who missed out. The multi-million-dollar settlement and the skiers getting a share of the money. Plus, RTD making changes in the name of safety, why they're looking at limiting how long people can ride their trains and buses. Thanks so much for joining us here for Denver 7 News at 11. I'm Jason Grenauer. I remember this. It was back in 2019. It was a big deal when full-strength beer hit the shelves at grocery stores. Well, a few years later, and we're once again counting down to another big change of what you can buy when you get your groceries. We are less than 2 weeks away from Coloradans being able to buy wine at grocery stores. Denver 7's Jessica Crawford is following this story live this morning in our newsroom. And Jessica, this has been a multi-year effort to get to March 1st.
Yes, the countdown is on. Starting March 1st, shoppers will be able to pick up a bottle of red or white at their local supermarket. And it's all because of Prop 125, which passed back in November. It had been on the ballot in years past, but it failed. And several years later, it's now happening. More than 1,800 stores across the state will be able to add wine to their shelves, according to the Colorado Department of Revenue. They will not be able to sell spirits, though. Big businesses like Whole Foods and Kroger's spent millions of dollars to gain support to change this law. That means many grocery store owners are happy to get the opportunity to sell wine and make more money. At the same time, locally owned liquor stores are concerned that they'll lose business because of the new law.
For my business, this would be very devastating. They've already had a huge impact on our beer sales, and I know it would have a huge impact on my wine sales.
Back in October, Chris Vine, the executive director of the Colorado Licensed Beverage Association, said he has good reason to think that liquor stores will be negatively impacted by this. He says when full-strength beer was first allowed in grocery stores, his members experienced a 30% drop in beer sales. Live from the newsroom, I'm Jessica Crawford, Denver 7.
All right, Jessica, we will keep you posted at home about how much impact this actually does happen as it is rolled out again on March 1st. Jessica, thank you. Turning to the weather, it was cold this morning as I did my civic duty and shoveled my sidewalks within 24 hours of the snow stopping. We will get warm eventually. We're in the 20s, 30s now for some places, 50s though by the weekend. This is the view of our downtown skyline from our Mile High cam. At least we can see the sun, the nice blue sky. Denver 7 meteorologist Stacey Donaldson is here. Stace, we can't just jump from like teens to 50. It takes that day to get there.
And that's what we're in right now. So our temperatures in the 20s and 30s today, but we'll be back in the 50s by tomorrow after this tremendous snowfall, especially for southern Colorado. Wolf Creek passed 25 inches of snow. In Genesee, they got a foot, Lakewood 8 inches, and at DIA 3.6 inches for this last storm. Now, since there's been so much snow in southern Colorado, we have an avalanche warning until 5:45 tonight. So be very careful if you are going to enjoy all of that fresh powder. Now, this storm has moved on. It's into the Midwest and the Great Lakes. A lot of heavy rain and snow moving off to the east, but we are nice and quiet, although cold. 9 degrees our wind chill right now in Denver, 7 below for Akron, and it feels like 9 in Fort Collins with temperatures mostly in the teens and 20s at this point. So it'll be another cool day as we get into the afternoon. We'll have temperatures in the low 30s, but we'll be back into the 50s before we know it. I'll let you know exactly when coming up.
All right, Stacey. Well, with all that snow that fell, plus President's Day weekend, it'll be a busy one at ski resorts in our mountains. Now, back in 2020, it was anything but when the pandemic shut down ski season. But after a lawsuit, some skiers are now getting some payback. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta is live in Morrison with just how much some people will be seeing.
So, like you mentioned, it's going to be a great weekend for both skiing and snowboarding up I-70, right? And those IKON pass holders, some of them are pretty lucky too, because they're going to be heading up with some credit on their passes. So this is specifically for those who had a 2019-2020 IKON pass and weren't able to use it to its full potential because of the pandemic, like you mentioned. Now, when the pandemic started, Alterra Mountain Company, they operate 16 ski and snowboarding resorts, including Steamboat and Winter Park. They shut down all of their resorts. Now a judge has approved a settlement just weeks ago. Alterra has actually agreed to pay $17.5 million to those who weren't able to use the passes to their entirety. So if that was you, if you had that IKON pass for that 2019-2020 season, the big question this morning is, well, how much credit am I going to get, right? It ranges between $10 and $150. Of course, if you ended up going to ski or snowboard a little bit more during that season, you're going to get on the lower end of that credit. We're near I-70 this morning. I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Now, in 2019, that IKON pass cost $949. So, Veronica, as you mentioned, $10 back is 1% back of that total cost. So $150 is 15%. Our Veronica Acosta, thanks for that report. Now, when it comes to inflation here in Colorado, there's some good and some bad news for the Denver Metro. Prices are still high, but the increase is slowing down. The consumer price index for the Metro is 6.4%. That's in line with the national number, which is 6.5. Now, prices for many things remain high, though. Fruits and vegetables cost almost 13% more than this point last year. Household energy bills are also up more than 13%. We are getting a bit of a break, though, on used cars and trucks, which are down about 11%. Single fare passes on RTD may soon be a thing of the past. The agency is looking to possibly ban people from riding all day on a single pass. Now, the proposed plan passed out of the agency's Safety and Operations Committee last night. It's part of an overhaul to RTD's Rider Code of Conduct. Leaders say it will help reduce harassment on buses and trains. The measure will now go before RTD's full board for approval. Well, from public transportation to pedestrian traffic, Denver is looking at reviving and potentially expanding a pandemic-era program tonight. Shared streets came during COVID restrictions to give people more space to be outside. Some streets have stayed that way since. Now, the city is holding a virtual meeting tonight at 5:30 to talk about this. You can register on the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure page on denvergov.org. Moving now to the mass shooting at a shopping mall in El Paso, Texas. At least one person is dead, 3 other people were hurt, 2 suspects are in custody. The mall where it happened is right next to the Walmart where 23 people were killed in a race-motivated shooting back in August of 2019. ABC's Alexis Christoforous has the details.
Shoppers inside the Cielo Vista Mall in El Paso, Texas, running for cover as shots were fired.
We were just shopping around. We were about to leave, and that's when we heard the 3 shots go off, and then I thought somebody was popping balloons, and I peered out, and I saw the barrel of a gun.
One person was killed. 3 people were injured and transported to a nearby hospital.
We have 2 young male subjects on the upper level by the food court that have been shot.
Police say 2 suspects are now in custody. They're crediting off-duty officers who quickly responded.
We had off-duty officers working at a local establishment within the mall, and we're on scene at 5:08 p.m. in 3 minutes.
Investigators have not revealed a motive for the shooting.
I think it's important for our community to know that they're safe and that the police department and all its agencies have made sure that we continue an active crime scene, but we also make sure that our community is a safe place.
The FBI is assisting in the investigation. They've set up a tip line asking for any photos or video the public may have.
It's important that, as this is an ongoing investigation, that we get that information as soon as possible.
El Paso is still a community on edge after the 2019 shooting at the Walmart right next door to this mall, where 23 people were killed. The gunman in that attack pleading guilty last week to 90 federal hate crime charges. He'll be sentenced in June. Alexis Christoforous, ABC News, New York.
Back here at home, the fight against gun violence here in Colorado is getting a financial boost. Our state is getting more than $4.5 million to combat gun violence. Most of that money will be used for training and public awareness of red flag laws. The funding comes from the U.S. Department of Justice as part of the Biden administration's bipartisan Safer Communities Act. A miraculous rescue in Turkey. After more than 10 days under the rubble of an apartment building, a 17-year-old girl was rescued alive. According to Turkish state broadcasters, she was pulled out in the 248th hour after the February 6th earthquake. She was carried on a stretcher into an ambulance. Her brother, who was trapped in the same area, did not survive. The death toll from the February 6th quake that devastated Turkey and Syria has now risen to more than 42,000 people. The Vatican sent a message of hope for Turkey in the aftermath of that earthquake. Pope Francis met with the Turkish ambassador to the Vatican yesterday. According to a statement released by the Vatican press office, Pope Francis wrote the message, quote, "My thoughts and prayers are with the noble Turkish people in this moment of great suffering. Dear brothers and sisters, I am close to you and I pray for you." If you're looking for some signs of spring and warmer weather, here's one. The Rockies pitchers and catchers have reported to Arizona for their first workout of the year. Yeah, it's just about time for spring training. The rest of the team reports on Wednesday. The first spring training game is next Saturday already against the Diamondbacks. The Rockies start the season on March 30th in San Diego. Their home opener is April 6th against the Nationals. That's the day before my birthday. Manager Bud Black will also be back. He signed a one-year contract extension. Well, from the Rockies manager to the Broncos' new head coach, Sean Payton is looking to his former team to build his new staff with the Broncos. He just hired Saints offensive assistant Declan Doyle as tight ends coach. We told you on Tuesday he hired Saints Zach Strief for the offensive line. Denver7 Broncos insider Troy Rank says don't count out Rex Ryan as a potential defensive coordinator. Ryan was the former head coach of the Jets and the Buffalo Bills. Payton has also requested permission from the Cardinals to interview Vance Joseph. As you may remember, he is a former Broncos head coach. Well, still to come, celebrating those who keep our kids safe in the classroom and in our schools. How some districts are shouting out their school resource officers.